Hey guys, welcome again to the Awkward Black Nerd Podcast. I'm Daisy Kane, and let me first start off by apologizing for my last episode. I know it's probably all over the place and kind of chaotic, but it was a chaotic day that day, and I just had to rant about it and get it off my chest. Hopefully it was entertaining, and hopefully it didn't leave a bad taste in your mouth. But enough about that. Hopefully you guys are doing great. I'm doing amazing, especially since I'm going to be celebrating somebody's birthday tomorrow, and that's kind of what this episode is dedicated to. So I'm going to start off by saying happy early birthday to someone who has been there for me through so much of my life, and I'm grateful to have this person in my life. And even though I drive him crazy and he drives me crazy, I can't imagine my life without him. So this episode is dedicated to my wonderful, wonderful husband, Corey. And I figured I would tell the story of how we actually met. It's not a grand story, but I always think it's a cute story. And whenever I tell people how we met, they're like, oh, that's adorable. So I figure since his birthday is tomorrow, I would just share how we met and things like that. So first off, we met in 2007. I can't remember exactly around the time we actually started talking, because we met online. We actually, whenever I tell people that we met online, they go, oh, which dating website you use? And I make a joke saying that we met on blackpeoplemeet.com, and people always give us a weird look when I say that, because anybody that knows us, anybody that knows him, Corey's this stocky, tall, white guy. He's a huge teddy bear, and he has kind of a swagger about him. Some people would say, I think he's a big cornball, but he's this big stocky white dude. So whenever I tell people we met on blackpeoplemeet.com, they try to figure it out when I'm obviously being sarcastic. We actually met on, this is even more embarrassing, we met on a website called Hot or Not. I don't even know if it's still around, but it's basically a website where you upload I think you can upload up to 3 pictures, your best looking pictures, and essentially people rate you from 1 being not to 10 being hot. And I mean, obviously I wasn't hot, but I wasn't below. I could have been mid-range. It doesn't matter. So anyways, so I obviously had pictures on there because at the time I was single-ish. I was still kind of getting over my horrible breakup. I discussed it a few episodes back. Not gonna rehash that whole situation. So I was in this weird phase of my life where I was single-ish, and I was talking to a couple of guys, and there was one guy in particular I was kind of talking to. We were hanging out, and we weren't necessarily dating. We went out on dates, and he was actually a really good friend. We're actually still friends to this day. He actually lives we both are on upstate New York now. We're both married, and we have married to other people, and he's on baby number 2 with his wife and things like that. So obviously we're not together anymore, but at the time we were kicking it, quote unquote kicking it, and we never established we were boyfriend and girlfriend. So we never established it, so we had the freedom to see other people. So I was talking to other people, just randomly, still being single, and I guess he goes out to sea because he was obviously in the Navy, and when he left, he never said, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? He was waiting until he came back to ask me, which was bad form on his part. But like I said, didn't tarnish, I think everything worked out for the best, obviously. So, he goes, and, I'm still dating around, making not some great choices in guys, and so on Hot or Not, I have my picture up there, and, they had this thing to where you can message people, you have to pay for the service to message people, and of course I wasn't paying for it, but the cool thing is, if you message someone, if somebody messages you, you can answer back for free, as long as, the other person pays for the service. So that's kind of how, I did it. I wait for a guy to message me, and, if they're cute, hit them up, and we talk, and whatever, go from there. So Corey, I saw his pictures, and I can't even remember what pictures they were, but he must have been cute enough for me to answer And like, I can't even remember what he said, but it must have been charming enough for me to give him my number. But this is the catch, right? So like, I give him my number and the motherfucker doesn't call. So, I mean, granted, back then, I wasn't like, even now, like, I know I'm not like drop dead gorgeous, but back then, like, I felt I was kind of cute. And, you know, even though I wasn't like, you know, considered like hot, I would like, I would sway you with my awkwardness and my like, you know, my charming personality, quote unquote. So like, you know, I thought I was cute enough because he must have asked for a number and he didn't call me, but I didn't think anything of it. So, you know, I was still living my best life, making stupid choices. And it's kind of funny that like when I met him was kind of smack dab in the middle of my life kind of unraveling. Like I literally, when I finally, like, so let me get back into it. So like around that time, like I was still, like I moved back home and my parents were kind of going through like a divorce, and my mom of course didn't take it well, so she was going through a rough patch and I felt like I had to be there for her. And then like I was working at like a job that I kind of hated, and I was hanging out with people that, you know, looking back on it, weren't great people, and so things like that. So then like literally like, so this is, I'm probably gonna say my age right now, like if anybody remembers MySpace. Yeah, so like I guess like on MySpace they have that feature where you like, if you type in I'm searching for, you know, age and female, male, you know, looking for friends or dating or whatever. So like I guess like Corey would put in like, use that database, and he came across my picture and he DM'd me talking about, hey, you're kind of cute but you look familiar. And I called him out. I was like, well, no shit, Corey, you're the only dude I give my number to and you don't call me. And I think this is kind of like the beginning of, this is how I knew that I was going to like him, because as soon as I said that, not even like a minute or two later, he actually picks up the phone and calls me. And I just remember we ended up talking on the phone for like a week or two, and anybody that knows me, like, of course, like, you know, physical looks are like a factor when you like somebody, but you can usually win me over like by having a great sense of humor, which he does have, and, you know, a snarky like personality, which he does have. Like I just remember when I talked to him on the phone, he wasn't like how a lot of guys tend to get, where they get like overly sexual or like, you know, why don't you send me nudes or whatever. Like he seemed respectful enough. So like I remember we talked for a week or two before he finally said, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And he invited me to like I don't even know if like how to, it was like this thing called like a block party where like you go to like a downtown area, like in this, like in whatever city you're at or nearby, and they have like live bands, and there's like vendors with beers and like, you know, food trucks and things like that. So we made a date for that. But this is how, like, you know how people say people come into your life for like a reason? Like I feel like when I met him, it was, at the time I didn't think anything of it, because I shit you not, like I met him literally like a week before, like when I met him a week after like I got into like this crazy car accident, and it was like kind of like the beginning of like this whole like snowball effect of bad things happening to me in that period of my life. Like I shit you not, like I got into a car accident like a week before we were supposed to go out. Like I was actually on my way to like an ex's house. Like I wouldn't call the guy a boyfriend, but like we were still kind of talking. But like I knew in the back of my mind this guy was like horrible. Like he was a huge cokehead, and he was like kind of like a big POS, but like at the time like low self-esteem, and I guess I was lonely, or I just wanted like an excuse to get out of the house, because you know at the time my family life was like really shit and I just needed a distraction. But on my way to that guy's house, I got into like a car accident, like, and my car got totaled. And I thought it was kind of cool that Corey was willing like to still, because he lived in Newport News and I lived in Virginia Beach, and he was still willing to drive like an hour to see me like on weekends and stuff, while I was still struggling to like, you know, get another car and stuff. And he, like, we went out on the first date, and we were kind of like it's several ever since. Like, I even remember, like, when we first met, like, we were sitting there, like, at the block party, and we're sitting there drinking, and I don't know what I was thinking, but, like, I decided to sucker punch him, like, playfully sucker punch him, and he was kind of, like, shocked, like, did this bitch really do this? But he laughed, and, like, I think that kind of set the precedent for our relationship after that, because now, even if you see us, like, we're married now, like, we've been together, like, 13 years, our 10-year marriage anniversary is next year, and if you see us together, like, you would think we were two big kids, and I think I set the precedent for that, and, like, I just feel like, especially beginning of our relationship, I felt at ease with him, like, that's the cool thing, like, that's why I kind of like telling this story, because through everything I've been through, he's been there for me in, like, ways that he will never understand. Like, he's seen me at, like, hit rock bottom. I'm talking, like, me and my mom, we got, like, evicted from our townhouse, so we were homeless, living out of, like, hotels, and he was still willing to, like, be in a relationship with me. He was just like, you know, I'll still see you while you get on your feet, and, you know, things like that. And even when I, like, decided to live in New York City for a couple of years, just to, you know, get away from everything and just maybe get my mind right, we were, like, I was thinking we were going to break up then, and strangely enough, we talked, like, every day on the phone, and then it got to the point where he was like, well, when are you coming back so we can move in together? And then that snowballed into, we got engaged when I visited him one Christmas, and then that turned into me moving in at a Newport News, and next thing you know, we're married, and now we have a 5-year-old, and, you know, we're still together, and I don't know, and I just wanted to dedicate this episode to him because, you know, despite everything that we've been through, like, it's just been kind of cool to, like, find somebody in your life that's been, like, kind of, like, one of the few constants. And he's seen me at my worst. Like, he's seen me do the dumbest shit, and he's still been willing to stick by me. I think that's one of the qualities I love about him, is that he'll still see the good in anybody, and he's willing to give anybody the benefit of the doubt. And, you know, and I just hope he just truly appreciates, like, you know, everything he does for, like, me and the family and stuff like that. So on that note, I'm gonna wrap this up and just say that's pretty much how we met. And, like, I like the fact that, like, our story is kind of one of those stories where internet dating kind of worked out, because, like, you hear a lot of horror stories, especially since, like, you know, especially now, like, you have Plenty of Fish and things like that, and then you have, like, now you have, like, those filters where you can, like, catfish people, like, to death, where you can, like, change your whole fucking gender on an app, and I think that's, like, kind of screwed up. So I think I lucked out that I met Corey when I did. Like, I met him at a strange point in my life where, like, my life was a whole, like, train wreck, but he was one of the few bright spots in my life. So I feel like I met him for a reason, because I wouldn't be where I am today. Like, I'm in a really good place in my life today, and I'm not saying he's the reason I am, but he's been, like, you know, he's been a good chunk of, like, goodness in my life. So I'm getting corny now, so I'm gonna stop, and I just wanted to say happy birthday to him again. Hopefully, you know, we have a great time tomorrow. I'm not sure what you want to do, but I'm sure it'll be low-key. We'll figure something out. Just know that I love you. Natalie, our little minion, loves you to death too, and hopefully you enjoy your birthday this year, you know, being an old man and all. Just kidding. But just know I love you to the moon and back. And to anybody else that's listening, you know, and anybody else that does internet dating right now, just know that, like, you know, I know it could be tricky, but maybe, I don't know, maybe hearing my story would just give you some kind of hope. But just, you know, just be careful. Because I will say, even at that time period in my, like, life when I was doing internet dating or just dating in general, I made some not so great choices. To anybody that is single and listening to this, just, you know, just make smart choices. Or, you know, anybody that's listening in general, just make good choices, period. And, you know, be kindness to each other, because kindness is gangster. And for F's sakes, wear a mask. And just use common sense as far as, like, getting through this whole pandemic thing. Like, it's been really rough on everybody. And, like, you know, even some days I feel like, are we ever going to get back to normal? But I know, like, normal for us last year is never going to return. But, you know, I think as long as we just make good choices and just use common sense and just not, you know, be rude and selfish, maybe, life will be a little bit easier for all of us. So I realize I'm rambling now. So hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. And I think the season finale of the show is definitely going to be next week. I'm going to try to record maybe like 1 or 2 more episodes before I'm done for the year. With the holidays coming up and stuff, it's probably going to be a little more tricky for me to like record and come up with things. I mean, although we're not traveling for the weekend, obviously, but I mean, for the, for Thanksgiving and things like that, but still, other things will be going on, like in my personal life, so I might not have time to record as much, but I'm going to try to do the season finale either next week or the following week, but that's coming up soon. But hopefully you guys have a good weekend, like I said, and talk to you soon.